Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRFBets race of the day for Saturday, April the 13th, race number 11 at Oaklawn Park, the Grade 1 $1 million Arkansas Derby. Kentucky Derby points on the line at beautiful Oaklawn Park on Saturday. And for our loyal DRFBets race of the day viewers, nice money back deal. Bet $7 to win on any horse in the race of the day all month long in April by using bets.drf.com or the DRF iPhone app. And if your horse runs second or third, you get your money back. Learn more at promos.drf.com. Let's meet the field of 3-year-olds set to go in the Arkansas Derby. You can access free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take the field in post position order. Beginning with the morning line favorite, the number 1 Improbable, winner of the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity in his final start as a 2-year-old, had his undefeated streak snapped in the Rebel, but ran quite well, all things considered, Matt.
I didn't think it was a bad effort. Starting off point, usually Baffert's horses are ready to fire off the bench, so I suppose a little bit disappointing that he couldn't get it done, but we'll talk about Long Range Toddy in a bit. He seems to be a nice improving sort, and Improbable, it's kind of been his issue throughout his career. I think he lacks focus from time to time, and you can't help but notice that Baffert puts the blinkers on for the first time. I'm hopeful that just gets him, maybe not sharpens him up, but just gets him to focus a little bit more. I think he could work out a very nice trip in here. I think he deserves to be the favorite. You mentioned the blinkers, the 2 subsequent workouts after the Rebel resulting in bullet works. I can only presume that they were with blinkers on, and we have an phenomenal Bob Baffert formulator fact as it pertains to blinkers and Improbable. Over the past 5 years, with 3-year-olds adding blinkers on a dirt surface, 37% winners, a $3.59 ROI. Now, Improbable does have speed. He has utilized stalking and pace pressing tactics to win his races. He draws an inside post here going 1 1/8. How do you think Jose Ortiz is going to ride this horse? Well, and it is important to note this is the first time Jose is going to be riding this horse in the afternoon. If I had my way about it, I would hope that Omaha Beach would go, and I understand maybe you don't want to let a horse like that get too far ahead, but I think there's other speed drawn to the outside as well. You've got stretch out speed and Gray Attempt. You've got another horse that's got a little bit of early gas that I think is overmatched on paper, but I would assume is going to go. I would like to see Improbable tuck into sort of a pocket trip. Try to sit that for as long as possible. Maybe you're right behind Omaha Beach. Allow him to tow you into the race and try to tip out, turn him for home.
The number 2 is 6 Shooter, a very likable gelding by Trap Shot, who ran a good 4th in the Grade 3 Southwest 2 starts back, a race that has produced 3 next out winners. He was down towards the inside most of the way, angled 4 wide, turning into the stretch. Had a look at it at the quarter pole, and then he flattened out. They turned him back into the gazebo at 6 furlongs last time out, and that was a race where Gray Attempt, who was better sprinting, was able to just get to a nice easy lead, and 6 Shooter tried to get him, but just couldn't overcome that tactical advantage that Gray Attempt owned. I think 6 Shooter is a nice horse. I think he finds a very tough spot as he stretches out, and he might be exposed after 10 lifetime starts.
And I feel like what you just said about 6 Shooter, I can say about the bulk of this field. I think there's a few horses in here that are really talented, and I think everybody else is just a notch below. 6 Shooter, I don't know what his actual best distance is. I wonder if it is slightly shorter, but I agree, he's just in tough.
There was a ton of buzz surrounding Omaha Beach even before he made his career debut last year at 2 for trainer Dick Mandella. He was the beaten favorite in his first 4 starts. There were a lot of folks wondering if maybe he just was a morning glory, but then he exploded to win his maiden over a sealed sloppy track by 9 lengths. That earned him a spot in the Rebel, and he ran really well in the Rebel, I thought, Matt. And for the first time in his career, he showed the ability to sit off a horse. He did that in the early portion of the race. He made the lead about 3.5 furlongs from home. And turning into the stretch, we often see Mike Smith, when he has a horse on the lead and in trouble with a good horse bearing down on him, he gets that left-handed whip out and he starts working. Here, he didn't really start to work on Omaha Beach till inside the 16th pole, and that was with the 2-year-old champion and odds-on favorite chasing him. He has a lot of confidence in this horse, and I love the way he dug down deep, and he didn't let Game Winner buy him on the gallop out either.
No, and we saw what Game Winner did last week, and okay, he was defeated, but he ran very well, earned a high 90 buyer speed figure, so that race continues to look good. The thing I love about Omaha Beach, now look, I've been wrong about him throughout his career. I thought he was perhaps he was a little bit on the heartless side early on, where he didn't win races I thought he was supposed to. Then they go to the dirt, one turn, sloppy sealed, maybe that's what he wanted. Ultimately, he's just turned into a really nice horse. The thing I like most, though, he has not taken a backward step at any point throughout his career. He continues to improve, and it's incremental bit by bit forward. It's not these giant moves. These are the ones I think are sustainable. My only concern or question, I don't want to say concern, is from a pace standpoint. If the speeds to the outside are intent on going, how does Omaha Beach rate off of those? How does he relax? Is he as nice and relatively calm in behind horses as he is when he's out there cutting out the fractions or in the clear? Because that's really the only concern I have with this horse.
That's actually a very good point. It's going to be interesting to see where he is placed early. I would assume he's going to be up close. I doubt he's going to be on the lead. I think they're comfortable with him stalking. I think they're going to try a similar move to break the race open on the turn. The 4 is Tickvin Flu. This is a very lightly raced son of Street Sense. Tough spot to try 2 turns for the first time. He was in a loaded Gotham last time out. That race produced 2 next out winners. One of them, Mind Control, took the Bayshore with a 97. But the winner of the race, Heikal, ran a fine third in the Wood Memorial with a 91. And the third finisher, Instagram, ran a fine third in the Santa Anita Derby last week. So it's a live race, but it's a tough spot for a 2-turn debut.
Yeah, I don't like him here in this spot, but I will say he was about 7 lengths off the pace in that most recent run. Keep in mind the pace was just off the charts that day. I think on the stretch out, I think he's going to be much closer to the front end this time around. I agree. I don't like him in here going 2 turns, but I think there's a scenario where he's a pace factor.
Laughing Fox looked really good winning that non-winners of one other than back on February the 18th at Oaklawn. Didn't break well, was behind a solid pace, and came with a good strong run. Last time out in the Rebel, again, didn't really break very well, only this time around just didn't fire. Was it a case where maybe graded stakes at this point is a little bit too tough, or do you want to give him a mulligan? That 90 buyer from 2 starts back puts him somewhere in the mix.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing for me to assess with this horse because he didn't really do any running in the Rebel, but I really did like the run 2 starts back. And I suppose if you think the pace could potentially heat up in here like it did for that run 2 back, perhaps he can come with a little bit of a bid. I don't know if I love him from a win standpoint. I want to give him another opportunity underneath, though, at a big price.
Timeform US is going to have a red bar situation on their pace projector, meaning that they expect this pace to be hot. The 6 Gray Attempt expected to be one of the pace setters. We see Omaha Beach, the 3, slotted in 3rd. Gray Attempt, in my opinion, is a sprinter. I know he won around 2 turns in the Smarty Jones. I also thought he got away with an easy lead, and the short stretch at Oaklawn certainly helped him at that mile distance. He just blew the turn in the Southwest, his only other start around 2 turns, and maybe you could throw that race out. It was nice to see that he came back in the gazebo sprinting last time out. He got an easy lead. He fired. It's going to be a lot tougher from a pace standpoint and a lot tougher from a distance standpoint here.
And from a class standpoint,
yeah.
I mean, he's facing better horses this time around. But you brought it up again. He, to me, is potentially an X factor in a race like this because if he is intent on the lead or he's forwardly placed on this stretch out and he makes a horse like Omaha Beach work a little bit harder, or who knows, maybe even a horse like Improbable, if they break and try to go for the front, if he makes any of the big players early work a little bit harder than maybe they want to, perhaps that compromises them late.
Perhaps the 7 and the 8 are the sleepers in this race. Let's start with Galilean, blinkers off for Jerry Hollendorfer. In the Rebel, he really just had to prove that he belonged with open company. His first 4 starts came against restricted Calbreds, and I thought he passed the test. He wasn't good enough to beat Long Range Toddy or Improbable, but he was right there at the wire. He is still lightly raced. There is certainly a chance of some upside potential, and maybe with the blinkers off, he can settle off the pace this time around. And if the pace is hot, maybe he comes with a run.
I agree that he belongs here. I think he at least acquitted himself well enough that you go on with a horse like this. My only problem is, okay, you've got to make up more than 2 lengths on those 2 horses that we talked about, Improbable and Long Range Toddy, and you got to deal with a horse like Omaha Beach. I just have a hard time envisioning him improving that much and everyone else either taking a step back or not improving at all.
Number 8 is Country House, and there was a lot of buzz surrounding Country House after he won his maiden in his first start as a 3-year-old, where he must have spotted the field 4 or 5 lengths and still came from way out of it to win. He then ran a good second in the Risen Star, despite being very green, and a lot of folks were excited to see what he was going to do in the Louisiana Derby. And yet again, he didn't break very well. He made a run. He flattened out. I think it's a very good sign that Bill Mott continues on the trail with this horse. One of these days he's going to put it together. We see him last on the pace projector, not necessarily a bad thing if you're expecting a fast pace up front, but he can't keep spotting these fields 2-3 lengths at the start.
No, and my bigger problem with this horse, I talked about him on my podcast, the idea that to me he is an incomplete work right now. That there is just too many untied sort of loose ends for me to really like a horse like this. And I understand you're going to get a very, very square price, a fair price. He should get the pace that he needs. The distance doesn't seem like it'll be an issue. I don't know where he is mentally. I don't think he's there yet. To me, he's a work in progress that maybe we don't see his best until we get to the summer. Maybe we go to Saratoga, we go to other distances and tracks. But for right now, he's just the kind of horse I'm going to be against.
Tough to make a case for the 9 One Flew South, who we saw right up there on the pace. On the Timeform U.S. pace projector, Lone Win came in gate-to-wire fashion, sprinting over a synthetic surface. They tried the Mind That Bird Derby. He pressed the winner and just couldn't step with that horse late. Blinkers go on. I assume he'll be forwardly placed, but against this field, it's hard to imagine him being around after even 4 or 5 furlongs or so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be stunned if he was involved at any point as far as a result is concerned, but he's another one that I assume you have to go. The only way you can win this race, I think, is you just try to send him and see how long you can go. But even if that's the case, I don't think it works for him and potentially compromises some of the big boys.
And Jersey Agenda, another horse in this race that has shown good speed in the past, beaten double digits in the Southwest, although he might have been affected just a little bit going into the first turn. In the Rebel, he pressed the pace. He couldn't go with Omaha Beach. I wonder if he's in this race to maybe help out some of the other Asmussen horses, because his 2 starts against Graded Company, they leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, they certainly do. There's also a part of me that wonders if in time his game ends up being sort of 7/8 of a mile, a one-turn mile type, because these longer races, I just don't know that longer is better for him.
Long Range Toddy is just a racehorse, and you have to respect him every time he steps out onto the racetrack. He's never been worse than 4th in his career. In the Southwest, you could argue he might have been the best horse in that race, where he was just locked in down towards the rail and blocked completely at the quarter pole. And by the time he came out with his run, Super Steed, the long shot winner, had all the momentum, got the jump on Long Range Toddy, and Long Range Toddy couldn't overcome that. Last time out in the Rebel, he got a little bit of a shuffle when the other horses moved early. All in all, it worked out very well for John Court. This horse is a fighter, but he's got to overcome a lousy post.
Yeah, I was wrong about this horse. He's much better than I thought he was, and he continues to improve. My other thing that I'm a little bit leery about, you brought up the post position, brutal outside draw. You're going to have to work something out from there, but he is tactical and versatile. The runs 2 and 3 starts back, he paired up Beyer tops of 87, and to me, that usually is a sign of potentially a forward move. Well, he moved up to a 95 in that Rebel. I wonder if that was the forward move where some of these other horses, whether it's Improbable, Omaha Beach, Galilean, maybe they still have another move in them. I want to see Long Range Toddy do it again, but I like him in here. I picked him second.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. You're going with Baffert. He has had an enviable record at Oaklawn over the years. Improbable got the nice prep run in the Rebel. We saw his formulator fact with blinkers, and this horse just has a ton of talent.
Yeah, he just needs to put some more things together. You know, stop looking out at the grandstand down the lane. You know, get into your stride a little bit better and a little bit cleaner. If the blinkers don't do it, I start to wonder a little bit that maybe he's not ready to go for a big stage like this. But based on what he's done, I have no knocks about him. He's a neck away from being unbeaten, and I think he could trip out in here, set the pocket, and try to go when they turn for home.
Give me numbers.
111.35.
Omaha Beach took down a big scalp in Baffert's game winner last time out. He's going to try to take another talented Baffert runner down, in Improbable. I think he sits a good stalking trip in here. I think he and Improbable are going to fight it out in the stretch, perhaps similar to what we saw in the Rebel. Let's hope so. That was a sensational race. I'm going 3-1, 7, and 11 in the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. And remember, Race of the Day fans, if you bet on the Race of the Day with DRFBets, bet $7 to win on any horse in any Race of the Day this month. And if your horse runs second or third, you get your money back. Just bet by using bets.drf.com or the DRF iPhone app. Approximate post time for the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, 6:43 Central. Best of luck.